Hello, my name is Pasaph Hews, and I'm the leader and founder of Eternal God Investor Religion. Eternal God Investor Religion is a new religion located in Accra, Ghana, and what we do is to practice what I call eternal godliness. Eternal godliness mainly consists of three things. 1, studying the words and the dealings of the eternal God. 2, studying the words and the dealings of the devil so that you can know the difference between the words and the dealings of the eternal God and those of the devil. And the last thing we do is to pursue eternal God-centered worship, message, discussions, and plans, which involve the worship and celebration of the eternal God, living in accordance with the eternal God's commandments, and seeking unification with the eternal God and eternal life in Satlock or eternal. Today, I want to talk on the topic about planning, and the title is Planning, the First Act, Principle, and Institution of the Eternal God. My foundation gospel is as follows, and taken partly from the Anurag Saga, which reads, and I quote, "Time without a beginning, and before all that is made were made, before the creation of the eternal, the heavens, the earth, and the underworld, and all the powers and principalities, souls, and the creations in them, the eternal God only lived in the hidden. Before he started his creations, he spent his time in planning his creation in detail, the forms of lands, their locations and treasures in them, the souls, their lives and experiences, and his institutions," unquote. If you analyze the scripture I just read, you realize that long before the eternal God started his creation, the first thing he did was to plan his creation. And therefore, we can conclude that the first act by God, the first principle of God, and the first institution of God is the act of planning. What is planning? Religiously, I will define planning as the act of analyzing God's vision and plans, analyzing yourself to consider your strengths and weaknesses, analyzing the environment, the spiritual and physical environment, to consider threats and opportunities, aiming at achieving God and your purpose on earth, considering options available, consulting related knowledge networks, critical thinking over issues and their complications, and choosing the path that is best fit for a situation and God's plan. In summary, planning is carrying out critical analysis and thinking to decide on what you want to do before you actually do it. And the issue is that what has the eternal God said about his plan? The eternal God has said that I have made up my mind and plan for the creation and the souls. And if they are not realized, then I will have to bring everything back. Which means that God in the first place has a plan, and that there is the need for us to know this plan, for us to align so that he will not call back whatever he has created or reverse his decision about his first plan. The importance of plan is mentioned in most scriptures. For example, if you take the Holy Quran, the importance of plan is mentioned. For example, it is stated in the Quran that they plan, Allah plans, surely Allah is the best of planners, which means that God or Allah has a plan, and therefore there is the need for us to know his plan and for us to plan to align with his plan. And Dr. Bella Phillips also says that Allah has a plan far greater than you can imagine. If you look at the Holy Bible also, the issue of plan is mentioned. For example, if you look at Jeremiah 29:11, it is stated that, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and not a future." which means that God has a plan, and therefore there is the need for us to investigate this plan and align ourselves to this plan. Also in Proverbs 19:21, it is said that many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails, which means that God has a plan, and his plan supersedes our plans, and therefore we have to know about God's plan and align ourselves to his plan. There are other several wise sayings about planning. For example, it is said that if you fail to plan, the devil will plan for you. Or failing to plan is planning to fail. It is also said that by failing to prepare, you are preparing for fail. And Graham Bell Alexander also says that before anything else, preparation is the key to success. So all these wise saying confirms that there is the need for plan or planning, and without plan, it is likely to be a case of a failure. My position is that God himself has set an example by making planning as his first institution, act, or principle, and therefore there is the need for us to know his plan and for us to plan our lives in accordance with his. In eternal godliness, planning is key, and we encourage all to carry out proper and effective planning to ensure physical and spiritual life success, so that the physical and the spiritual life will support each other for a joint success. So in terms of spirituality, you are supposed to have plans about your devotion or worship, your service to God, your plan towards attaining eternal life or reading the scriptures, your financial contribution, and even spending time in retreat to see the face of the Lord. Physically, you are also supposed to plan for your life. In terms of family planning, deciding on the number of children you want to have and why, your financial planning, marriage planning, education and professionalism, work and attitude, house plan if you intend to put up a house, citizenship, appearance, relationship, and the rest. I'm inviting you to join Eternal God Investor Religion for us to practice planning in eternal godliness, so that we will study together the plans and the words of the eternal God and know how to shape our thinking and planning for us to be able to plan our spiritual and worldly life to achieve the eternal God, reunite with him, and attain eternal life in the eternal kingdom. Join Eternal God for a change, because Eternal God Investor Religion is the way, the truth, and the answer. Come for us to challenge the status quo, think outside the box, move away from simplicity to complexity, and from comfort zones to challenging zones. You can contact us by visiting our website on www.itago.org or email me on pasaphhews@gmail.com or call or WhatsApp SMS on 055-7727-214 or 020-40-643-67, or listen or watch my videos in YouTube on Pasaph Hews messages on various topics. Join us by sending your name and number to the telephone lines, and we shall contact you. May the glory of the eternal God be with us all. Amen.